See this man? This is the man that is so pissed off. My God, why can't YouTube just keep things the way they were? Hope I'm coming through, guys, because I've had to shut everything down, restart. My God, no wonder I've got no hair left. Tell me you can hear me. God help me. I'm telling you now. Yeah, sorry so much, guys. I can't apologise enough. I've tested all this. I've tried it all. I even made a new intro. Let's talk about stressful. All right, guys, let's kick it off. I know we're late. Thanks, everyone, for hanging in there. Oh, mate, I'm just have to test this all again. So, look, the bottom line is, welcome to Robbo's Tech Talk Tuesday, episode number 8, the second Q&A. I was hoping for a bit of feedback on how I'm going, how I'm travelling, but oh man, I was ready to throw in the towel almost. Anyway, look, what I've done now is, obviously you've seen, I've started a bit of an intro to give people an avenue to sort of get an alert and get set up instead of just going straight into it. It wasn't supposed to be half an hour. It was only supposed to be 5 minutes. So hopefully, I knew when I did this live stuff it was going to be an issue. But yeah, so look, a little bit of feedback, guys. I'm basically going to put that up at the start, 5 minutes before it all kicks off. And that'll give everyone a chance to log on, put their questions up and go from there. Yeah, so just a little bit more housekeeping quickly. People have often said to me that, I can't be online at 7 o'clock when it's live and whatever. I'd like to put some questions up. Well, as soon as I put that link of that video up on usually a Saturday or a Sunday, you can go into the live chat and put your question up there. If you don't think that you're going to be able to be there live tonight at 7 o'clock or 7:30 in this case. So yeah, you can do that and I can go back and have a look at those questions. So just remember, guys, as soon as that video link comes up, set your reminder. And then if you don't think you're going to be able to get on and put up a question live, whack it up there then. Now the other thing, quickly, when you put your questions up, guys, try and make them as specific as you can, because sometimes with the general questions, I'm not exactly sure of the question at hand, and sometimes I don't want to be vague, but I don't want to have to ask you a question on your question because it's just going to make it a little bit more difficult. So lastly, before I start looking at all your questions here, because there's quite a few up now, yeah, just keep bringing up topics that you want to have for this live feed. So, all right, guys, again, thanks for being very patient. I'm just going to scroll back now and just have a look at some of these questions. Obviously, here, Pepsi man does need a drink tonight. Audio's out a little bit. Okay, just joined in, so what's cracking? All right, let's start with some of the questions, guys. All right. Aaron Hewitt. Hey there, Rob. Just watching your Tika build up thread with a 7mm rem mag. Noticed your charge of reloader 22 is a tad over max. Is this correct or an accident? PS, I always start low and work up. Yes, it is. It's a reloader 22 powder, and obviously the loads that I use my loads. So yeah, just be very careful. Don't just say, oh, that's the one to go for. Bear in mind, I do use Norma brass, which does handle quite a stiff charge. And as Nick Harvey used to always say, if you build up a load using Norma brass, don't transfer that to other brass, especially if you're starting to push it up to maximum. So to answer your question, off the top of my head, 67 grains, a reloader 22 is what I use and is a very potent and accurate load. So no, it's not a misprint. Okay. Sound is only coming through mono, coming in the left channel only. It shouldn't be. It's running stereo here. Anyway, yeah, love the intro. Okay, Chris Martin, biggest build up ever. Yeah, I know. Biggest frustration ever. What's your thoughts on the 9.3 by 62 as a Samba deer cal? Yeah, it's look, it knocks them off their feet if you hit them. Obviously, it's a heavy hitting. Probably, obviously, hasn't got the range, but if you sight it right, definitely a 200-yard gun. And if you're in thick stuff, it's going to be hard to beat. But yeah, not my sort of choice. But yeah, definitely, a lot of people use it very successfully. Dan Stevens, plenty of time for our South Australian friend. Oh, mate, you don't know how pissed off I was with this whole thing. All right, T-Mac, what do you think of the 300 H&H mag as a hunting rifle? Well, it depends what you're hunting, mate. But obviously it's a big game cartridge. And look, any of the Holland & Holland sort of cartridges, 375, are great. But it comes down to what you're going to use it for. Okay. Yeah, look, I don't know why the audio wouldn't be right, guys. But anyway, the boys are saying it's all on now. Sean Hayes. Cheers for the great vids, Robbo. What leads you to choose the 7mm Rem Mag over the 3006 or one of the 30 cal Magnums for Samba? Good question. 7mm Rem Mag for me is the best all-round package. Velocity, weight of projectile, ballistic coefficient, so its efficiencies through the air. Felt recoil, it's a nice rifle to shoot, especially in, say, my lighter rifle like the 7mm Rem Mag Tika that I've got with the carbon fibre stock. That rifle all together only weighs 7 pound. So yeah, it's, look, the 300 Win Mag, 7mm Rem Mag, both potent Samba calibers. So for me, the 7mm, we'd say a 160 to 170 grain projectile, sort of the ballistic coefficient of that and the speed you can run it at in comparison to, say, something in a 30 cal, you would have to go to about a 200, 220 grain, say ELDX, ELDM to get a similar ballistic coefficient. So it means you're running a heavier, slower pill. So you're going to need some decent engine to run it. So your 3006 is not going to push it, and your 300 Win Mags are going to be really one of your only options there, mate. All right. Just quickly go through, try and catch up a bit here, guys. Mark Rankin. G'day, Robbo. GFA said to say hello, GFA. Yeah, Gary F. and Arnold. How are you, Gaz? Hunter James. Hey, mate, just wondering if you have ever gone bow hunting. Yes, mate. Used to do heaps of bow hunting. Sort of got started when I was about 16, 17. Bows back then were pretty average, and sort of I couldn't hit the side of a barn with it. And that was a compound bow, I should say. I think it was an old Darton, I think the one I had, and the information I was given too was sort of incorrect draw length and all that. But later on, probably about 10 years ago, I bought a Bowtech Allegiance. Had that set up through Marcus at Urban Archery, and he set it up and actually corrected my draw length to 27.5 inch, and I never hit more things with any bow. That was spot on, that bow, but I sort of had to get out of it a little bit. The shoulders aren't as good as they used to be, so yeah, I've sort of dropped off. But loved my archery, loved bow hunting. What's for dinner? Not much at the moment. Jason Richards, how do you go with the More to Explore app? Make any sense, and do you trust it? Haven't used it enough at this stage. We did use it a little bit while I was away, but we were sort of, yeah, I wouldn't trust it. No, not at this stage. And it does make it quite clear to sort of, you know, it's got a disclaimer. as everything has now. So it's just another one of many things that you want to try and use. You can't beat having the physical maps as well as that. I'm hoping it'll get better in time. At least we've got something. But yeah, I wouldn't put all my faith in it at this stage. Only set the left channel. Okay. Just check my mic. Everything's set right. So we've got some issues, obviously, boys. We're just going to have to work through it, and I'll have to hopefully get this new YouTube stuff sorted by next time. John Brown, reboot of laptop fixed sound issue. Yeah, mate, I'm telling you, I think it's look, I don't want to go on about it, but basically what happened is the new YouTube stuff is a whole new live dashboard, basically. Yeah, and it just wouldn't accept the streaming software. So anyway, Caneworthy Constructions. Oh, sorry, I missed one here. Are Steyr guns any good? Not my choice. I'm not saying they're bad, but I don't know enough about them. And again, pretty general question. I'm not sure what model you're talking about, mate. So, Caneworthy Constructions. Hey, mate, do you think a Browning Hell's Canyon in 308 is okay for an entry level into fallow and sambar hunting? Yeah, mate, I don't mind them. When they first come out, I was attracted to them. I didn't mind the camo pattern. Browning make good rifles. Sometimes the triggers can be a little bit to be desired, but yeah, definitely it'll do. The 308 is obviously on the low end for your sambar, but again, shot placement, fallow, no problem at all. All right, Dennis Menace, what's a good spotlight to get? Looking for a long range light. Well, for years we use the Light Force SL240. I know a lot of guys have swapped over and put HIDs, but now things are changing again, going to LEDs. So to answer your question, I don't even use a spotlight anymore. I just use the torches, and I find that they do everything that I need. And to be honest with you, the O lights, a few of the others that I've mentioned in some of my videos, mate, they're good enough to spotlight distances. And what you often need to look at when you go spotlighting is look more at your quality of your scope, because no good having a really powerful spotlight if you've got a pretty poor scope. It'll obviously help it, but if you've got a really good light gathering scope, you're not going to need as good a spotlight. So yeah, it's a bit of a trade-off, but for me, yeah, it's the torches at the moment. I've missed any here. No, here we go. Kato 7669. I've found an area with good numbers of sambar, but I can't seem to get close to them. I'm a novice and haven't shot one yet. I would love some advice on stalking them. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, mate. Yeah, look, it comes down to the ground that they're on. You really got to sort of pattern them out. And look, most animals, you're going to find that they're going to come out at the last minutes of daylight, depending on hunting pressure. If they've got no hunting pressure, well, they're going to be around for a lot longer. But yeah, I think the biggest trick, obviously, you're going to have the wind right. And then basically try and, don't be in a hurry, spend the time, pattern out when they're coming out, where they're coming out, and just be a step ahead of them. Look at your weather forecast, look at the direction the wind's going to come in. You'll only get one chance each day. If that wind swirls on you and they scent you, they're gone. Unless they're really dumb, but most of the time, the wind will give you away. So definitely pattern out your area. If you've got the time, be patient. It'll work out for you, mate. Bimbo Rocks. Thanks for your series on what you took backpack hunting. Any other gear advice you have since that video? Heading off for a few days in the Vic High Country to scare some sambar next month. Well, those videos have been done quite a while back, so yeah, there's probably a few things I've changed, but look, not one off the top of my head comes to mind. Possibly I don't use a lot of stuff that I took then. I've sort of probably dropped off the solar panels for the battery charging, because most of that stuff was for my camera gear, and that's how I sort of now take a more batteries in for the cameras, and dropped a lot of stuff. But yeah, any one particular thing? No, not really, mate. Most of the stuff, I'm always changing my pack. Just for that hunt, it might be different to the next hunt. So, and I think most hunters are like that. They'll fine tune their packs. It's a continuous sort of thing. So, no, sorry, I'm probably being a bit vague there, mate. But MD Spice, hey Rob, what about a night on live fire sight in a few different rifles? Rimfire, 223, long range, for the newbies with a few of the other boys you hunt with. Different methods. I'm not sure what you mean there. What about a night on live fire sight? Yeah, if you're talking about trying to get a video set up when we're actually out, say, set up on some long range stuff, we'd obviously have to have phone service for it to all work, but yeah, it's not out of the question. Yeah, I'm hoping that's what you mean. Christian Hackle, is 220 grain bullets in a 30-06 good for sambar stalking? Yeah, it's obviously on the heavier end, say for your 30-06. You look, it definitely will shoot them, no problem, but it's probably going to be more of a heavier, sort of shorter range, scrub pill, to be honest with you. So usually the 30-06 is better suited to the sort of the 180 to 200 grain projectiles to get the sort of a bit of range and still enough speed and hitting power. So yeah, you definitely could use them. Whether it would be my choice, possibly not. Okay, Deutberg, maybe a little much Christian. Yes, that's exactly. Righto. John Brown, stereo after reboot, but has reverted with tinny mono again. Can hear though, just not optimal. Yeah, look, this is... look, the thing is, like I said, guys, I've had this all tuned in, set up for this, and now YouTube have changed the whole lot on me. So I'll have to go back and hopefully get this sorted. All right. Martina Valentine. What is the best 30-06 brands under $2,000? Hauer, Tikka. Yeah, that'd be my first two that I'd probably look at. The Browning Hell's Canyon, not a bad option as well. But yeah, look, for overall, when I look at the overall package, I look at the rifle's accuracy, how well it functions, how good the trigger is, and how reliable they are. And this is where I probably, don't want to sound like a broken record, but I keep going back to the Tikkas. Dale J, it came with, I have a HC in 28 nozzle, excellent build quality, but rigger was shit. Trigger, I think it is. I replaced the spring to bring the pull down to about £3. Paul Wheatley. G'day. Paul, hey Robbo, I heard you mention one of the boys was going to get a Blaser R8. Did that happen? And if so, what do they think of it for the big money involved? Well, Paul, if you look at our last couple of videos, you'll see that Ben has an R8. Loves the thing. It's in a 300 WSM, and since he's bought that rifle, I think he's put more deer down with that than probably any of his other rifles, and in the shortest period of time. Very well constructed rifle, very accurate. Just the way they go together, the way they function. What I do like on them is the decocking system. So basically you can have a round in the chamber, and what you're doing in comparison to, say, a normal rifle where you're just putting the safety on. With a normal rifle, the safety on, your firing pin is set back, locked, and basically under spring tension. The decocker, what it does is backs off that whole spring tension off the firing pin. So it's probably one of the safest methods you can have. And for a deer hunting rifle, basically all you've got to do is have that round there, and then you can just push it forward, cock it again, and you are ready to go. So that is one of the most impressive things, besides the overall build of them. You just really, you cycle one, handle one, shoot one. And yes, I know they're pricey, but you don't have to buy brand new. And that's what Ben did and got an absolute bargain. John Brown, Olight LED torch attached to rifle, does it all these days. I use Olight Javelot Pro, unbelievable light and amazing how long battery lasts. Mate, very, very true, John. And to be honest with you, just get good batteries. We've been using the Panasonic Blaser, and they've been really, really good. And usually one set of batteries in the torch and another set spare in the pocket. It just about get you through a night in most cases. Joe Gilberto, g'day Robbo. Nosler and Hornady both make long-range bullet, both match and expanding. Why do you think blokes think a match or target bullet is okay to use on deer? Well, I'm not sure on that question, mate, to be honest with you. No, obviously a match bullet per se is not what you want to be using in a hunting situation. But in saying that, in the ELDX and the ELDM, I know a lot of guys that have virtually noticed no difference whatsoever between them as far as hitting, knockdown power, killing power on deer-sized animals. I can't speak on the Nosler myself, but the Hornadies I can. So yeah, then it's not sort of like the old match bullets. They've sort of anything with a plastic tip still expands pretty hard. Digger Mel, g'day Robbo. I'm going out for a deer this Friday. Hopefully get my first deer. What is the best time to be out there? Cheers, Mel. When the deer are out there is a good start. But yeah, look, if you're going out Friday and you know the area and whatever, look, early morning, late evening, usually the last half an hour going before dark is going to be your prime time, and the same in the morning. You've really got to suss out the area. You don't want to be smashing through an area in the dark in the morning because you might push them away for the whole day. So sometimes you might be better off sort of getting up there in, sort of after lunch, sit and glass, and then ideally, if you find them, you can't get to them on the Friday afternoon, you camp out for the night, and then you'll know where they're going to be in the morning. And it's not very often we'll just go to one place and expect to knock a deer over there and then for the time you rock up. It's usually a plan over a couple of days. Hunter James, do you have an Instagram where you post your hunting photos? I do have one. I don't do a lot with it. It's just Bolt Action Productions on Instagram. You should find it pretty easy. Game Trail Films. Steve, how are you, mate? I have a Steyr Pro Hunter in 243. Hated every factory ammo it threw at it, but got an awesome hand load, 75 V max, and it shoots half minute of angle, and the trigger is fantastic. Yeah, like I said, it's not the first time I've heard that either, Steve, as far as, yeah, you might need a bit of tuning with these, and might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they have a set trigger standard on them too. The Hunting Truckie, g'day mate, keep up the good work. Still working tonight, so can't comment or watch, but I've got it playing through the truck stereo. Good on you, mate. Hope you're driving safe. Simon Andrews, hey Robbo, love the vids. Recently I have been using the 450 Bushmaster as a scrub gun for pigs, goats and deer out to 300 yards and love it. It doesn't seem to be a popular round. Why do you think that is? I can't really comment there, mate. I haven't used it. I haven't shot it. It's probably like a lot of these rounds. It comes down to how well they're sold, and it's no different to say the 223 when the military bought that. The 222 Remington Magnum was actually a better, more efficient cartridge, but they went with the 223, and that's basically what's where it's at now. So it doesn't mean it's a bad caliber or bad cartridge because not everyone's using it. And if it's worked well for you and you can get all the stuff for it, well, yeah, that's a bonus. Richard Hadfield, still got you loud and clear, Steve. Thanks, mate. I tell you, I'm still not over it. The FUD. What do you think of the Lithgow LA 102s? Now, again, I'll probably get corrected here. I believe they had some recoils on this. Recalls on these ones. I don't know anything really about them firsthand. I know a lot of people have had them and been happy with them, but I know quite a few had to go back, I believe, for barrel issues or something. Maybe someone else can answer that question a bit better, mate. But yeah, I don't think they're a bad rifle. I think they've fixed what issues they had. Well, get on to Aussie Reviews. I think he did some testing before and after. But again, I haven't followed up with them firsthand myself. Bob Builder, thoughts on Woodley bullets? How much better than the big factory offerings? Never shot them myself personally, but everyone I know that has used them has never been unhappy with them. Sometimes they may not be the most accurate, and you may have to put a bit of time into sort of the development of the load, but they are a very good bonded projectile that are going to penetrate and sort of get the job done. And look, probably one of the more favourite Samba pills. Excuse me, guys. Pepsi Max. Okay, JB, love your channel, Robbo. Best hunting shooting channel on YouTube. Well, maybe not the first half an hour tonight, but thanks very much, mate. Source 1. Hi, Robbo. Good to finally get a chance to watch you live. Will you be at the SSAA SHOT Show in Melbourne this year? Well, I'll be trying my best to get there, mate. What days at this stage? I'm not sure. Paul Wheatley, thanks, Robbo. Psyching myself up for a Blaser or Sauer 404. Both have the decocker safety. Yeah, look, it's one thing I would say with the Tikka is, and compared to, say, the Seiko, if you've got a load around into it, it's definitely louder, and I don't like walking around with a round in the chamber in these sort of rifles. But on the Blaser, mate, I really like that system. And if I didn't have so much money invested in all my other rifles and whatever, if I was starting from scratch, geez, I'll tell you what, especially if you can pick up a good one second hand, and they do come up, yeah, they're a pretty sexy looking rifle. Christian Hackle, what would you recommend for Samba? 3006, 308 or 300 Win Mag? Well, look, they're all going to do the job. And again, shot placement. But if you want the heaviest hitting power and you can handle one, the 300 Win Mag. But if you want an all-rounder, it's going to be reasonable to shoot. Be able to shoot, say, the heavier pills, the 180 to 200, probably better than the 308. The 3006 is going to do the job. It's done the job for years and it'll continue to. So, yeah, look, if you can handle a 300 Win Mag, you want the extra power, it'll give you a little bit more legs as well. So, yeah, definitely, but I'd say shoot one first, and not only shoot one, shoot it in the actual rifle configuration that you're going to actually purchase. Fox Whistling, in the market for a Samba rifle. Any thoughts on the Christensen's Arm Ridgeline 300 Win Mag or the Christensen in general? Cheers, Paul. How are you, mate? Look, I had a bit of a look at them at the Wild Deer Expo, and they do look pretty sexy, but off the top of my head, I can't remember which model was which. But whether you're getting something more than you need, whether it's going to be any better or any more accurate than, say, a Tikka or something like that, possibly not. But look, in the end, if you like it, it functions well, and it shoots well, why not buy it? You know what I mean? We only live once. Flash Gordon, love the show. Planning my first Samba hunt in Victoria High Country. What's your favourite time of year to hunt, temperature and comfort-wise? Probably coming up for the next few months, to be honest with you, when the grass is starting to grow. You still got, put it this way, the ground's reasonably quiet. Well, up until the last couple of years, still been pretty dry over the winter. Yeah, while the ground's quiet, the days aren't too hot. Like when you're pushing up and down the hills, if it's sort of 15 degrees or lower, it's really nice hunting, So, yeah, the next couple of months would be my pick. Or maybe sort of the other end of the season as well, sort of probably April, May. Two Fruits 2. Any ear pro recommendations, especially for hunting? No, it's a good topic, mate, and one that recently I've spoke to Rob Fickling about it, and he's been using a few different ones. So don't quote me on the brands, but might pay to have a bit of a chat to Rob, or yeah, because I don't know if he's bringing him in as yet, but I can't remember the brand off the top of my head. But yeah, he likes them, and yeah, I've actually started to think about it. Not so much for blocking of hearing, obviously that's what we want it for, hearing protection, but also the advantage of being able to amplify it a little bit as you get older. The hearing, obviously, and your eyesight sort of drops off. So yeah, whether you go for the moulded ones or whatnot, I don't really know enough about them, mate. But I'm keen to find out a little bit myself, and I probably will be doing a little bit of homework come the SHOT Show. Christian Hackle, are core lock bullets any good? Mate, one of the best value. If you can get them to shoot out of your rifle, they are probably one of the best factory round out there. And probably one of the best things is if you use them, you can get something that actually shoots well. A factory load in the core lock that actually shoots well out of your rifle. You've got more of a chance of probably picking that ammo up in any country gun shop than you will with some of the others. So, well, you used to be able to anyway. So, yeah, look, definitely well worth looking into. Andy, yes, just bought a did I say that one? A Voro, maybe, 3006, and in signing it in, I'm getting reasonable results, but I think I have recoil flinch. Any tips for controlling flinch? Not a fan of the idea of muzzle brakes. No, I'd have to back you on that muzzle brake thing. Look, if you've got a sort of a mate with you, what you can do is sort of, if you've got a couple of dummy rounds, or I would load them in, or get him to load them in, and so you don't know which one is a dummy round. Maybe have a couple in there and whatever, and won't hurt to video yourself too, and just see if you'll soon know if you've got a flinch, because when that dummy round is actually fired, or in other words attempted to fire, just watch your reaction. That's one way to find out whether you've got a flinch. Deutbag. Yeah, okay. Omar Badrovic. Opinion on sour guns. Look, all these rifles are great, but my concern is with all them. If you need something like a magazine, or if you lose a mag or something like that, are they going to be available all the time? It's a little bit like the Ford and Holden argument. They're cheap to keep running. So if you lose something or you break something, it's going to be a lot easier to get parts for a Tikka, and aftermarket parts like magazines and all that sort of thing. So probably a fantastic rifle, and yeah, look, I haven't had first-hand experience with them. Whether they're any better than the others, whether they shoot any better, I really can't answer that, mate. But if you like it and it comes up to the shoulder well, and yeah, by all means, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Michael Wallace, hey, Steve, finally got in. Oh, good to see you, mate. I'll probably be almost as late as you, mate. Don't worry. Matt Cato. Hold on, I've scrolled up too far. Your 243 shotty combo, what brand is it? What are the advantages of having one? I'm looking for any reason to buy more guns. Well, I bought it for a particular purpose, and that's whistling foxes. So times that you may be out on your own, and you think, oh, do I take a 22? Do I take a rifle as in a centerfire? Or do I take a shotgun? Well, obviously this gives you the option of both. It's a Bruno. It's an older Bruno. Twin trigger. Front trigger is the rifle. And it's also a set trigger, so push it forward to set it. Rear trigger is a shotgun. It's 12 gauge 243. I've actually been experimenting with Trail Boss in the 243, 55 grain pills, and I've ended up getting about a 3/4 inch group at 100. Running at 2200 feet a second. Now, a lot of people might say to me, well, why do you want to do that? Well, realistically, originally I was after a 222 223 in a 12 gauge, but I just didn't come up. So what I'm basically doing now is I'm going to sight it in with the 80 grain core locks, which will be at about 1.5 inches high at 100, and that those 55 grains running the trail boss are actually about level at that distance and about 1/2 inch to the right. So it gives me the option of a quieter round, because a lot of times when I'm shooting foxes, they might be sort of 150 yards or less when I'm whistling them in. So that's why I'm going. It's just a bit of an experiment, really. A lot of people would say, why are you doing that? But yeah, it's an experiment. Yeah. KN 1000. Are you a fan of the Tikka T3 338? I haven't shot one, but I reckon she'd be pretty lively. So I'd be testing her out if you can, if your mate's got one or something. But if you can handle it, it'd be a good gun. The FUD 1000. Thanks, no worries, mate. Michael Wallace. Hey, Steve, looking to upgrade my Sako L691 270 cal. It's a trusty old girl. Can you suggest similar quality modern Sako? No, can't. Keep it. Unless there's something really bad with it, keep it. Rebarrel it would be my choice. I wish I did it on some of mine, to be honest with you. Christian Hackle, where do you live in Victoria, mate? Outer eastern side of Melbourne, mate. Not far enough away. MD Spice, the FUD 100, the Lithgow rifle is a great rifle. There you go. He's just answering that. Thanks, mate. Adrian Sharp, just saw notification. I hope I haven't missed much. Well, you've missed half an hour of nothing. I was late tonight. No fault of mine, but I've got to wear it in the end. Edward Berryman, g'day, Robbo. Cheers for the continuing high quality content and great advice. Looking at purchasing a 223 Tikka T3X varmint match with a Bushnell scope for roo shooting. Any tips? Well, the rifle's a great choice. If you choose to stick with the standard trigger, where there's nothing wrong with those, my advice to you is possibly change the trigger spring. Get one of the Yo Dave ones on eBay, because you can get the triggers down really nice, crisp and reliable. Otherwise, if you want a set trigger, make sure you order it when you buy it in your original purchase. Otherwise, it'll cost you a fortune to get it done later on. Personal choice. Bushnell scope wouldn't be probably my choice for obviously roo shooting. You'll do it under tags, under license. So most of it's done at night. Yeah, it wouldn't be my first choice of scope, to be honest with you. Rifle's good though. Dale J, he's just talking about the Lithgow. He's just Adrian Sharp. Hold on, just jumped over. What about 30-30 on fallow? Yeah, it'll do the job, but it's not 30-30. It's never been a caliber that's sort of suited me. It's sort of been really probably was what was classed as one of the favourite pig guns, to be honest with you, in a lever gun. So yeah, it'll do it, but I wouldn't be after one, because I think you find most 30-30s are straight up a chambered in lever guns. I don't think I've actually ever seen one, I think, in a bolt gun. So obviously if you're buying a lever gun, you want one, yeah, it's going to do the job. Christian Hackle, what's your favourite deer to hunt? It's hard to go past Samba. Probably the biggest, physically the biggest, probably the biggest challenge, to be honest with you. Robert's just answering that. Billy Leontio. Hope I've said that right, Billy. Hey, Robbo, how do you go about choosing the right powder for different cals? That's a very good question. Sometimes it's trial and error. Uncle Nick, Nick Harvey's book's pretty good for that, because he actually has more realistic charge weights than some of the reloading manuals. A lot of the reloading manuals are pretty light on as far as where you can end up with. How do you choose? Really comes down to, one, what powders you might be using for other cartridges. Two, what speeds you want out of it. Yeah, you just need to do a little bit of homework, check around the forums. You'll soon find out what powders sort of people are getting the best velocities and best accuracies. It didn't take me long to find out about Reloaded 22, for argument's sake, with the 7mm Rem mag, and I got that dialed in pretty quick. So, alright, Chris W. Hey Steve, is the Sarko worth the money over a Tika or similar? Looking at upgrading my deer rig and not sure where I should draw the line. Okay, current Sarko, I would say no, possibly not. But the older Sarkos, your L series, mate, you can't buy a better rifle in that era. So keep your eye out for a second-hand one, mate. That's what I would suggest. Okay, Richard Hatfield. Steve, found the stored decathlon in Box Hill yesterday. Found some light pants for $20. Can't go wrong. French store invasion now, but good sporting gear shop. Oh, no thanks, mate. Now I've got to go and find another shop, another place to spend money. As of 57. Hey, Steve, big fan. Finally got here in time. Haha, yes, I have a Sour 100 in 243, and it's brilliant also. Good on you, mate. Good to see you here. And, yeah, I'm going to go until we run out of questions tonight, boys, because obviously we had a bit of a stuff up today. Omar Badrovic. Thanks, Robbo. I'm happy Tika owner, 3006, just giving some shit to my mate who's a Sour owner. Nothing wrong with giving shit to your mates. Love your work. Thanks, Omar. Alright, let's see. Where are we? Claverton. Hi, Robbo. In another broadcast, I think you said there were some difficulties reloading the 22 Hornet, but I can't remember what they were. Was it case life? Can you elaborate on this, please? The 22 Hornet, I think it could come down to, you're right, it was case life. Some of the cases used to be quite thin. I think it was, again, it might have improved, but probably the 22 Hornet, I won't say it's sort of, phased out, but it's definitely not a popular round, and there's probably better rounds, in my opinion. But in saying that too, you can get some of the Ackley improved, the 17 Ackley improved Hornet, and they're really good. But yeah, it definitely was thin brass. It's not a case that I've loaded, but the few people I know that haven't sort of stuck with it for a long time. Alright, thanks, boys. Having a bit of a chat between ourselves there. Adrian Sharp, speaking of whistling foxes, what whistle do you recommend? Look, you want a variety. So in other words, a button, the Tenterfield, and obviously we've been using the little T2 of late. And to be honest with you, since the rabbits have died off, a lot of places that we used to get big numbers of foxes, they've moved from sheep to cattle. Rabbits have died off. Our fox numbers have died off as well. So the boys have actually been getting more doing fox drives than actually whistling. But it doesn't mean, put it this way, we'll be giving it a crack in a couple of weeks. So we'll be trying again the whistle. I always have a whistle around my neck most of the time, even when I'm deer hunting. Dennis Smith, just wondering how many guns you have and what's your safe size. Well, I'm not going to go into that, mate. I have probably more than enough and not as many as I'd like. I had the hand in quite a few, and I don't just have one safe. Australian Outdoors, g'day, mate. Is it Palmy or Palmy? Palmer. Palmer for me. Daz High Country. Hey, Steve, mate. I've just bought a Tika T3X light Stano in 270. Mounted a Swarovski Z3 4-12 by 50. Bought it for shooting pigs, goat and deer. Your thoughts on this setup? Can't go wrong, though. It's probably something that I just about set up myself. So, excuse me, boys. That should be a potent rig, mate. 270's got the legs, the scope's got the range. Very versatile light outfit. I think you'll be a happy camper. Okay. Matt Cato, how often should I clean my guns? You should inspect them at the end of every hunt. And look, obviously, cleaning the barrels is one thing, and to be honest with you, a lot of people won't clean them if they haven't shot them, and that's fine. But just be aware that, if you've been in wet environment or something like that, you might want to go over it with an oily rag. And look, to be honest with you, I don't think it hurts to sort of store your firearms, and that's going to be the biggest killer. It won't be the first time someone's put a gun in their safe, brought it out, and it's got corrosion on it. And bear in mind, fingerprints. Never want to have any citrus stuff around. If you've been eating an orange or whatever, don't put your hands on the barrel. You're going to get very disappointed very quickly. So look, the silicone gun socks are great when you're storing your guns. And what I often do, probably doesn't need to be done, but what I'll often do is I'll just give it a light, and I mean light spray of WD-40 or something on the outside of the sock, and then I'll turn it inside out every now and then and do the same. And you do that every 6 months, and I've never had an issue since I've been using those. So to clean your guns, inspect them. If you've fired them sort of 20 rounds or more, definitely give them a clean. Michael Wallace, hey mate, what's your opinion regarding 6.5 Creedmoor to 6.5 55 Swedish? I have a Tikka T3 in the Swedish, and I knocks my mate's Creedmoor for 6. It's my fellow rifle would suggest a better caliber. The 6.5's a great projectile, diameter-wise, speed you can get out of it, and with your ballistic coefficient and so on, recoil. Around the 130 to 140 grain projectiles are really good. So the Creedmoor, I'd be interested to know whether he's hand loading or just factory. The 6.5 Swede has been a great caliber, probably underrated, but don't count out the 260 Remington either. Very, very good cartridge. So yeah, there's a few options in that range. Derpy Wolfie, thanks for helping us newbie hunters. Can you recommend any good books or other learning resources for new hunters? Cheers, Kersey. Well, it depends what you're hunting, but there's a few good old books. Walking Them Up for Samba. Some of the Nick Harvey's stuff has been pretty good. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not a massive reader. I tend to like to do more than read. So, yeah, probably, again, not the right person to ask it. But depending on what specific animals you want to read about, that sort of would be able to pinpoint it a little bit more. Mark Rankin, 2 fruits. I use Axel Ghost Strike Essential earplugs. They work well with the amplification of background noise, works well, and battery life is good. Yeah, like I said, I don't know much about it, but I need to get onto it because... yeah, hearing's not as good as it used to be. Chris Tilley, hey Robbo, how do you figure out starting loads for reduced loads for Trail Boss, considering it for the 270? Any other things I should be aware of? The amount of foxes I see deer hunting. How do you figure out starting loads for reduced loads? Now, there is a formula for this, and we're talking Trail Boss. Oh, now don't quote me here, but I'm pretty sure you can measure what it will take sort of up to the neck and then back it off by 70%. Now, do a little bit of research on that because I'm not 100% sure on that. And Trail Boss, I can tell you one thing, does not like to be compressed. But it's definitely good if you want to create what I call a poofed around. So, yeah, just double check on that, mate, because I can't remember off the top of my head. Righto. Martina Valentin, could you recommend any recoil pads for the Tikka T3X? Yeah, the Limb Saver Airsofts are probably going to be the direct fit, readily available. So yeah, that's the thing. You've got to be able to get them. The advanced recoil pad that we did a bit of a test on was different and actually probably worked really good. Check up our video on that. It's got all the links and whatever there. Smart recoil pad or whatever it was called. Can't remember off the top of my head. But have a look, go back through our reviews and you'll see that was actually different and it does fit. Oh yeah, I think it's a Seiko Tikka think so. Double check, otherwise if it's not available for the Tika, but I'm pretty sure the Seiko and Tika pads are the same, especially in the 75s, I know they were. Bimborix, what's your favourite cartridge and why? That's a good question. Probably at the moment the 7mm Rem Mag would be my favourite. But if I had to pick something and only to keep one rifle or whatever, probably a 22 rimfire, to be honest with you. It's just so much fun. You can use it for anything, to be honest with you. But as far as an all-rounder, if I had to carry one rifle to do everything at the moment, the 7mm Rem Mag, it's got the legs, it's got the speed, it's got the hitting power, it's nice to shoot. So, yeah, that would be pretty much cover that. All right. Adrian Sharp, cool, thanks. Can't wait for the YouTube clips. Thanks, mate. Ben Steer, hey Robbo, 222, 22-250 or 22 Hornet? Question, Tika, obviously. Well, 22 Hornet I wouldn't worry about, but again, not giving me the information, probably enough information there, mate, to tell me what you're going to use it on, but I'd say it's obviously a varmint gun. The 22-50 is going to have the legs, but to be honest with you, the 222 with a 50 grain projectile is so nice to shoot, so easy to get accuracy out of them. Yeah, it'd be a 222 for me, to be honest with you. You didn't throw the 223 in there though, so anyway. Christian Hackle, tent or swag? Depends whether I've got to carry it. If I don't have to carry it and I'm just working out of the car, I'd go a swag. But if you're going to go in a swag, and especially a swag that might carry a bit of weight on top of your sleeping bag, you've got to remember that if you're using a down sleeping bag and it's in a swag, sometimes the condensation and the weight of the canvas, if it's that sort of swag, will stop the sleeping bag lofting enough and you will actually get cold. So sometimes you're better off with a good synthetic bag in a swag. Tent, a good lightweight tent that is sort of under 2 kilos or thereabouts. It's going to be hard to beat, especially when you're backpacking. And yeah, my good Gundi 2, One Planet Gundi 2 is probably my favourite at the moment. Yeah, just passing on. Claverton, Robbo, have you ever made up a mixture of Ed's Red bore cleaner? I made up some recently and I'm very impressed with it. No, I've thought about it, but I've got so much of the other products and not enough time to be wasting making it up. Well, I shouldn't say wasting, but yeah, I may look at it later on. I have heard some good reports about it, but no, I haven't, mate. Dan Stevens, might be here until next Tuesday with all the questions. I greatly appreciate it. Thanks again, Dan. Look, I should let it go, but I'm so pissed off about this YouTube bloody thing. It makes it hard for me every time I get it sussed out. So, yeah, so look, I'm just going to run until we're all had enough tonight, guys. Listen, I'll just quickly have a bit of a break from the questions and just, obviously I need all your topics, guys. Put them up on the comments or whatever, any things that you want me to do. I've obviously got a little bit of a backlog now, which is good. But for those of you that haven't realised, I am pretty sure this Thursday night, Channel 31, which is Channel 44 or whatever in Melbourne, Beyond the Divide, 9 o'clock, you will see our faces on there. We've done an episode with Rob, Lee, and Tim on Whistling Foxes Inn. Now, it was a challenging weekend, but I think you should enjoy it. Now, I say that, I have not even seen the video yet. Obviously, I was there, but the boys filmed it, so it's something a little bit different. So, yeah, so stay tuned for the 9 o'clock Melbourne time this Thursday night. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the last episode for the year. So, yeah, I'd love to hear your feedback on that and give Rob a bit of support, because I tell you what he does for the hunting community in such a good way. I think we've got to remember that this is not easy. To get it on national TV is a Superman effort, and he's not only had it on TV for a little while now, I think it's about the 5th or 6th years. So it's a fantastic job, and I think we need to throw the support as much as we can. Paul Wheatley, hey Robbo, I need to work up a sambar load for my daughter's 270. Any thoughts on a good projectile? My advice to you there, Paul, get on to Doug Reed. He is the expert with the 270 and sambar deer. So yeah, jump on a few of the forums. I'm sure you'll see Dougie about on a lot of them. Mate, he's a wealth of knowledge with all sambar hunting, but he still goes back to his 270 in a tikka quite often, and he knows that round like the back of his hand. As a 57, remove my last message because I was confusing myself. Don't worry, mate. Welcome to my world. What's your opinion on a Browning X-Bolt in 300 WSM for scrub like 20 to 50 metres or viewable distance? Is I'm about half or so from the fallow reds. 300 WSM at 20 to 50 metres is going to be dynamite, mate, especially on fallow and reds. It'll literally lift them off their feet at that range. So, and that rifle there's nothing wrong with the X-Bolts. Actually, they're not a bad rifle. Some of the older ones were really good. Christian Hackle, favourite deer to eat. Probably the red, followed by fallow and fallow and sambar. But again, it comes down to how you cook it. That's how you prep it and how you cook it. It's all great as far as I'm concerned. But probably the red with the least amount of sort of prep for me. 270, 150 grain, always been good for younger hands. Knocks them over, no problems. Thanks, Deutberg. John Lee. Robbo, love your hard work for this channel, mate. Do you prefer clean headshots or chest shots when taking still foxes? Depends on the caliber. If I've got enough punch, I'll usually just go for a chest shot. But if I'm using the smaller calibers, so your 22s, your 17 HMRs, yeah, headshot every time, if I've got the choice. Justin McLaren, hi Robbo, love your work. What's your opinion about wild dog situation in the state forest? I'm a bow hunter, essentially unarmed. Is there anything to be concerned about when I'm out there solo? Mate, in all fairness, unless you're injured and there's a pack around you, look, most times you're not going to have an issue, but more than anything, it can be a little bit unnerving for those that aren't used to it when you've got a group of dogs howling around you. But just send a bit of love their way, mate. That'll soon sort them out. Plus you'll get a bonus $120. Sean Hayes, do you have any experience with the 7mm08? What do you think of it as a sambar rifle if the range are kept moderate? Thanks, Sean. No first-hand experience, but everyone I know that's had them has loved them. Maybe a little bit harder to get some components, as in your brass and that, but you shouldn't really have an issue. It's definitely on the lighter side for sambar, but again, mate, well-placed shot, it is going to do the job every time. It's a very mild cartridge to shoot from what I can understand, and again, you're using that 7mm projectile, which is a very good speed to sort of weight to ballistic coefficient ratio. So, yeah, I don't think you'll be unhappy with it. Dennis Menace, I'm using Hops number 9 foaming bore cleaner. Is there anything better? Yeah, have a look at my cleaning videos. There's definitely some stuff I think is better. Whether you can get it, that's probably the biggest thing. If you really need to get hard stuff out, look, you can't go past sweets, but you must neutralize it. In other words, remove it all from the barrel at the end, because it will start to corrode away your barrel if you don't get it all out. Look, to be honest with you, there's so many different ones on the market. I don't tend to recommend too many, and the ones I have, the Wipeout Patch Out, you virtually can't get it anymore. So yeah, that's the trouble. Christian Hackle, he's having a good run. It's good to see you here, Christian. You're giving it a fair run tonight. Good on you, mate. What's better for foxes, 17 HMR or 22 mag? 22 mag is going to have the more hitting power, but the 17 HMR, in my experience, has often been more, in general, more accurate. The 22 mag can have some issues with consistency and accuracy, but not to say you don't get a good rifle. Some blokes have got some really good shooting 22 mags. So if I had a choice, and if I could get a rifle that shot both the same, as in consistency, 22 mag I would go now. Because I think they've improved a lot of the ammo compared to when it first came out. With these plastic tip projectiles and that now, pretty effective. Robbo, Michael Wallace. My Tikka M55 22-250, when working the bolt with factory ammo, the cases seem to swell and are hard to eject. I don't have the same issue with my hand loads. Any info? Well, I'd be looking at the brand of factory ammo, because some factory ammo, the brass can be quite soft. I'd be interested to know what brand of factory ammo. And look, the bottom line is, if your hand loads are going well, just stick with that, mate. Factory ammo is basically an option for those that don't hand load. If you're a hand loader, I'd always hand load. Thanks, boys. Frank Peter, thanks, Robin. Nice. So what channel up here in the Blue Mountains of New South Wales for the fox whistling? Adrian, that's a good question. You might have to get on to Beyond the Divide, jump on Facebook or whatever, and I'm sure they'll be able to help you out there. But I know it also goes on Foxtel Aurora, I think. But yeah, contact Rob, and I'm sure he'll fill you out there. But I think you can always stream it too. I think you've got to pay for that. I'm not sure. But yeah, definitely just get on to Rob down at Beyond the Divide, either through Facebook or Instagram or something like that. I'm sure he'll help you, or just give him a ring down at Maroka 30. John Brown, I'm also interested in the best copper fouling remover that's kind to the bore. Always use sweets, but I know it eats barrels if not careful. Yeah, like I said, the one I'm sticking with now is the Wipeout Patch Out. But I also find, just give me a second, guys. If you'll see that, I know it's probably not available, but that is one of my favourite things that I first put in. The air intake cleaner that you can just get from most of your auto places. I know they've changed the name, and a few of the boys have brought it up before, but I basically spray that down my barrel first, gets out all the carbon, it gets out all the powder fouling, and it actually starts to take out, you do get a bit of bluing from the copper. So it's cheap, it does the job, and it won't hurt anything. So definitely worth having that. What you use after then, yeah, like I said, I'm pretty much stuck with what I've got at the moment. So I've got probably another 4 or 5 years at least before I have to look at anything else. Paul Wheatley, cheers, Robert. Great job in adverse conditions. Yeah, thanks, mate. MD Spice, live topic. Hunting stories from the boys, mates as guest speakers. Yeah, that could happen down the track, but I really just need to perfect. Like I said, I had a few issues with this live feed at the start. It was always going to be an issue, internet, the whole lot. But like I said, YouTube have changed the bloody goalpost, moved the goalposts again. So once I get it down pat, I would like to try and create a mobile setup where I can use my phone to hotspot and whatever. So, but that's a little way off yet. Then I would like to go live and go around to sort of catch up with people and actually do it. And possibly, I possibly can do it, but it's not in the immediate future, mate. Righto, Bradley. Hi, Ro, love the channel. What is your opinion on the caliber limits on deer with the new caliber on the market? Do you think they should be changed? No, not really. Look, to be honest with you, with all the new calibers and that coming out, you'd be continually changing the rules all the time, and it just gets more confusing, to be honest with you. So I think you just got to work within the restraints. I know it can be a pain, but I think sometimes the less change the better. I think we just get used to certain things, and all of a sudden something changes and not everyone's aware of it. Next minute what you're using or what you're doing isn't legal, or what you thought wasn't legal before is now legal. So yeah, sometimes, just keep it going on an even level. As a 57, what do you reckon of a Lee reloading kit for someone starting out reloading? As I'm looking to buy a reloading kit in the near future. Mate has a Lee kit and has no issues. Says it does the job. It does the job, but again, wouldn't be my choice. I think they're the bottom end. I recently just bought a Lee die in the 243, just a seating die, and in the end I had to remachine it. It was marking the projectiles. Yeah, look, not my first choice. They are budget for a reason. They do the job, but there's better choices. I would definitely stick with sort of the RCBS Reading would be my choices, and then moving on to some of the premium stuff from there. Dad's High Country, thanks for your feedback, Robbo, and the 270 Swarovski. Love your shows, mate. Keep them coming. I'll be firing the Tikka for the first time this weekend, sighting in at the range. Can't wait. Enjoy it, mate. I'm sure you will. Moments like me. Just purchased a new Steyr Pro Hunter 3006 for deer, using factory loads, but confused with the sighting in guides. Remington 180 grain, 2.5 inches at 100 metres, 0 at 200 metres. Does this sound right to you? All right. I'm going to quickly explain how I sight my rifles. And the first thing I do is I establish what I call the kill zone. Now, the kill zone is basically the diameter or the height that I can aim dead on and either have my bullet going high or low and still be in that kill zone. Now, for argument's sake, if I'm talking foxes, I've really got, say, a 4-inch kill zone. If I'm going for the chest or whatever, or the head, sort of 4-inch 100 mil. So that means that if I'm aiming in the center of that target, I can afford for my pill to go no more than 2 inches higher than the center, and I've got an effective range until that bullet drops out 2 inches underneath. So for argument's sake, for a 222 or whatever, I would sight my rifle so when I'm looking at my target, it will never go above that 2 inch. It will never go above the 2 inches of that line of sight. In other words, if I sight it sort of 1.5 inches high at around 100 yards, it'll sort of get to about 2 inches high of that line of sight before it starts to drop off. Cross the 0 point, maybe around 200, and then by about 250, it's actually 2 inches low. So that basically means that I can aim at the middle of that kill zone, that 4-inch kill zone, out to about 250 yards, and I'm either going to be 2 inches high or 2 inches low of where I'm aiming. Obviously on a deer, you can afford to have a bigger kill zone. So that means you can then push the height of that projectile up maybe to 3 inches or whatever. But that's up to you, and that's where ballistic turrets and all that come into it. You can still zero at 200, but then you can dial. So look, for a general rifle in the varminting calibers, I sort of sight around, like say your 222, 223s, I sort of sight around 1.5 inches high at 100 yards, 100 metres, which is about 38 mil high. If you're going your slower calibers and your deer sort of calibers, you can sort of probably push that up to 2 inches if you're not, sort of 2 inches high above your line of sight at 100 yards. That's general rule of thumb. Where are we? Richard Hadfield. Steve, you spoke of swags before last Sunday when we spoke 30mm of rain in Strathbogie, 5 sleeping bags was toasty, mate. Yeah, nearly floating away. I've been there. Yeah, thanks, Clever. That Newline upper engine, well, it's now called Newline upper engine cleaner. Thanks, mate. All right, have you, Martine, Valentine, have you heard of the Tikka T3X? It's a newer version of the Tikka T3. If so, which one is better? Both the same. Look, I'm not a massive fan of all these. Look, I like my rifles simple. I'm not a massive fan of all these clip-on sort of pistol grips and front things. Look, a lot of people might love it. Basically, look, there's probably a couple of little minor changes in the T3X. The ejection port is a little bit bigger. I think it's actually cut a little bit lower than the T3. Both are great rifles. Both are going to shoot just the same. So I wouldn't be concerned one way or the other, to be honest with you. Ben Steer, Newline, Pro Strength Upper Engine Cleaner is a new name. Thanks, mate. Adrian Sharp, thanks, Robbo. Love your work. Keep the YouTube vids coming. They're awesome to teach new hunters like me. Thanks, mate. Looks like we're coming to the end, guys. Dennis Menace, double S, double A. Your thoughts on them? I really have no thoughts on them, to be honest with you, mate. Just hopefully they're out there batting for us and they continue to, because that's what's needed. Whether they're doing it at the moment, that's up to everyone to make that decision. All right. Christian Hackle. What's the most common deer in Victoria? Yeah, pretty much Samba, but it depends where you go. Look, basically, but it'd be between Samba and fallow. All right, Bonsai. Hi, Robbo. I just picked up my first 2 rifles today, a 22 Magnum for foxes, rabbits, and a 6.5 Creedmoor for pigs, goats, and deer, up to fallow, etc. The store recommend the VMAX rounds. Your thoughts? If you're talking the VMAX for the 22 Magnum, look, you just got to try them. That's the thing with factory ammo. You've just got to try different brands and see which works. There is no set rule. So yeah, I'm sorry to say it, but just buy a couple of different boxes and give them a try. But don't just keep firing one after the other. Keep your barrel as cool as you can. Great night, Robbo. Cheers. Thanks for the tech talk. Look, it's a pleasure, guys. I can only apologise for the current tonight, and hopefully I won't have that next time. Yeah, I'll have to just go back and find out what's going on here. Hold on, Chad. Thoughts on the 6.5 PRC and the 300 PRC rounds? No, nothing of them, mate. Sorry, I'm not up with a lot of this new stuff. Yeah, I can't really help you there. Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to sign out. Thanks again for all the support. Hopefully I'll get these. I haven't had any real issues until late. Until tonight. It was all tuned in, ready to go. Yeah, so definitely, if you want to see us whistling in a few foxes, get on to Beyond the Divide this Thursday night. I think it'll be on other nights in South Australia and whatever, but get on to Rob, Beyond the Divide, check it out. I got no idea what to expect, so it might be a big dud, but I'm sure with the way Rob puts his videos together, it's going to be fantastic. So thanks again, guys, for all your support, and until next time.